Cricket Life Stories with me, Neel Khagram. Today we're joined by Jake Ball. Jake, how's things going out in India? We're at the moment.
Not too bad, to be fair. Keeping in good spirits as you can do in bubble life. But yeah, it's been really good so far. Good experience. Having the crowds for the first two games was nice, but obviously not anymore. But yeah, it's going well for the lads.
So let's take it all the way back with yourself. You're born in Mansfield, Nottingham. What are your earliest memories of the sport?
Just like family time, really. My mum's got five brothers who all played to a good level. My uncle Bruce kept wicket for England, and Notts, so yeah, I had that connection there. But I just remember as soon as I could sort of walk, I had a cricket bat or a football at my feet. I was always quite a sporty kid. So yeah, whenever we got opportunity to get together as a family, was always playing some sort of sport. Mostly cricket with my mum's side of the family, and mostly football with my dad's side of the family. But yeah, cricket ended up being the winner in the end.
Yeah, you mentioned football. I know you're a big Everton fan. Never went down that path.
I would have loved to have done, but I think at about 15 I realised it wasn't that good. So cricket was always a sport that I loved playing. I loved playing it as a kid. I never thought that I was ever going to become professional, even up until probably like 15, 16. I just did it because I enjoyed it. It was sociable. I could hang out with my mates on a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So I just did it because I enjoyed it, and then it obviously developed into what it is now.
Talk us through your earliest club, your first clubs, and were you always a bowler, or did you do a bit of everything as a kid?
I always did a bit of everything, because you sort of have to at sort of under 11s and moving into under 13s. But I was sort of, as I got a bit older, I became more of a batter, until I was probably like 16 or 17. I was a batter. I think Notts under 15s. I was batting number 4, so it was like, and I didn't bowl until the last game of the season. It was sort of a bit of a dead rub, and they just chucked me the ball and said, "Have a go," and I managed to pick up 2 or 3 wickets, and then went on from there, really. But yeah, I was always a batter. Love clearing the ropes. From a young age, just enjoyed hitting boundaries, and not too many singles or twos. It was all sort of trying to go for the ropes.
When did Notts first spot your talents? When did you get into the age group system? And was there one coach that you really resonated with, that really you felt guided you through the early stages of your cricketing journey as well?
Yeah, well, like I said, I was a batter till probably about 16 or 17. So I was just playing club cricket for my home club, which is Welbeck. And we had Darren Bicknell, who was an ex Notts player, opening batter, came and played for our club and coach sort of for a year. And that was a year where I just sort of really started bowling. And he said to Notts, "Look, I think you need to have a look at this lad," because they never sort of seen me as being a bowling option. I've always been a batter, and probably as you could probably see over the last 10 years of my batting, it's not my strongest point anymore. But he was like, "I think you need to have another look at him in terms of being a fast bowler," because I've always been quite a slim build, and I wasn't quick or anything as a kid, but I had good control, and I had skills which you sort of need as you move up through the levels. So yeah, he put me in touch with Notts, and they got me down to bowl at England and New Zealand just before Test matches or one day. You tend to get like net bowlers from the county teams go and just sort of get slogged around for a bit. And it was at that net that Otis Gibson, who was the England bowling coach, singled me out and said that I was the sort of best in that group. And then Otis went on to be my first England bowling coach as well, so that was quite nice. But yeah, it just went on from there. I then joined the Notts Academy as a bowler, and then yeah, that's it. It's sort of the rest history. I've just sort of gone on and kept developing and getting fitter and stronger and bowling a little bit quicker, and trying to keep that control that got me there in the first place.
You mentioned at the start of your fast bowling journey that you weren't the quickest, but was it more in terms of was it the control you had which stood you out, wrist position, nipping it in and out? Would that be fair to say? And any tips you can give for youngsters, perhaps following a similar path?
I think a tip that I always say is just sort of be yourself. Like, I think too many kids that get picked up in county age groups or get coached from a young age can get almost too coached. I think they try and be like the perfect bowler. I think when I was growing up and looking at bowlers who were around at the time, none of them, other than probably Brett Lee, had like the perfect action. You know, you look at Malinga, Mackay and Teeny, people like that, Fidel Edwards. They're all got something a little bit different and quirky about themselves. And I think I think that's okay when you're at like quite a young age, but when you start moving up and trying to break into the academy, the second team, and then the first team, I think you have to have a point of difference. I think you got to offer something that isn't in the side already. And I think I had a growth spurt about 15, 16, which gave me the bounce I have. Luckily, I naturally have a braced front leg, which I've always done. So that was something that the fast bowling coaches say that is what you sort of need to bowl fast. So I had all the attributes to kick on. And then, I just got in the gym and worked hard and, just tried not to be overcoached. I still wanted to keep my own identity of what had got me there in the first place. And, I think I've done that and I still have sort of those attributes that stood me in good stead from a young age.
You mentioned the gym there. Do you think gym work, whilst your body's still growing, do you think it's overrated as a fast bowler? Do you think it's more repetition, understanding your action? Do you think that's the most important thing? What are your views on it?
Yeah, I think there's a balance in everything, but I always think that young bowlers need to bowl. I get why from a young age you have restrictions on how many overs you can bowl in a game or things like that. But one thing that's come into my game over the last 2 or 3 years is bowling more at a low intensity. It's something that we picked up from baseball pitchers in America, in that they very rarely throw at 100% outside of a game. So they'll just do lots and lots and lots of repetition, sort of getting that muscle memory, sort of in a position that when it comes to throwing that, a training session, they might throw 100 balls, 90 of them will be low intensity, sort of skill based, and the 10% will be of sort of 100%. And I think that's something that I've taken into my game, because I think I need to keep bowling because your body and your bones get used to it. Your bones get stronger as you get older because you bowl more. But if you can do that from a younger age, then hopefully your bones will get used to the bowling action and get stronger from a younger age as well. So I think there's definitely a balance whilst your body's still growing. But I think the more you can get your muscles and your bones and your action used to the motion of bowling, because it is a strange action. If you pulled somebody off the street and said, right, I want you to fling this ball down there at 90 miles an hour, keeping your arms straight, they think you're crazy. It's a weird action to do. So I think the more you can do it, the more your body will get used to it.
Now, when you made your Notts debut, your list day debut in 2009, how was that as a moment in your life to give you that confidence that you're at that level now, at the professional level?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, that came out of the blue a little bit, because I didn't expect to. I think I got told the day before that I was gonna play, but I'd sort of been carrying drinks and getting around the team, which a lot of counties do to sort of get you around the setup, get you used to it. But I never thought I was gonna play, and then obviously I got the nod the night before. I didn't have much time to think about it, and I don't think my mindset is I don't think about stuff too much. I try not to sort of get myself worked up into like the nerves or anything. I find I obviously get nerves, but I don't think about it too much. Try and take my mind away from it until I get to the ground, and then I sort of switch on and start thinking about the game. That's something that came quite naturally to me anyway, which I think again has stood me in good stead going through into playing into international cricket. The fact that I don't sort of listen to a lot of outside noise. I just sort of try and do what I'm doing. I'm happy as long as I'm giving 100% on the field. You're not going to perform well every time. As long as you know every time you've gone out on the field, you give it your all. That's all you can do. So yeah, I think after that game, I realised that I could perform at that level, and I knew I had more growth and more to add to my game. Obviously, I think I was only like 18 or 19 at the time. So the fact that I held my own in that game and still had more to give, I think that was a big confidence boost for me.
And then also the year later, you got picked for the England under-19 side. So a couple of test matches against Sri Lanka under-19. Again, must have added to your confidence. And who else was in your team as well?
Oh, good question. A lot of the lads that I would consider being the top 19s lads in that year didn't play. So I think Rooty played. But we had Joss and Stokesy also. But I don't think Joss or Stokesy played in that because they were playing at that time. If you was playing county cricket, you could stay with your county. But we had some who played. I think Azim Rafiq was captain. Atif Sheikh, a few others. David Payne, Matt Dunn were the bowlers. But I remember first game I took a bit of tap and went round. I think they had a big left-hander. First ball I bowled hit me for 6 over extra cover. That was my first ball in under-19s cricket. But then the following test I managed to pick up 5 for at Scarborough, and off the back of that got put into the development bowling thing for England for a year, which was again, it was another big confidence boost knowing that ECB in England are seeing you for somebody as potential bowler for the future. Just all these things that happen to you as you're coming through the setups just keep adding to the confidence, and just wanted to keep it going really.
Can you go a bit deep into what is actually involved in these development fast bowling camps? You're amongst other fellow young professional quick bowlers, the top end in the country, but can you explain for outsiders what's actually involved in these camps?
Yeah, the camp I was on was quite physically intense. It was a lot of gym work. It was trying to make yourself as robust as they can to bowl, because they were trying to develop fast bowl at that time. I think this was like 2010. At the time, everyone, and probably it's a little bit obsessed by pace, so it was trying to make everybody like big and strong and trying to bowl fast. Now I said this because Shiny's now our bowling coach at Notts, who was the coach then, and that didn't really work for me because it wasn't what I was. It wasn't what my body needed to bowl fast. I'm quite, I've got long limbs. I don't need to be like really big and strong. I'm not like a muscle bowler. I'm a rhythm bowler. So I need to be more like elastic, like you're doing more like reactive stuff and making myself springy. That's how I would bowl fast. But at that time, everyone was just trying to get big and bulky and think, right, I can muscle it down there at 90 miles an hour. And I think since then, I think maybe 2 or 3 more years of that before they realised that everyone's a bit different. So yeah, it was an interesting one. It did obviously get me stronger and physically fitter, but I don't think it made me bowl faster. I actually put pace on 2 or 3 years later after sort of doing my own gym work back at Notts after I had a little injury. So then I came back the following summer and sort of hit the ground running, and I found that it was just bowling fast came a bit easier to me. So yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that injury. Was it the broken foot in 2014? Do you think was it
Yeah,
a contribution to over bowling? Was it the gym work, or was it other factors?
I think those other factors. I think um, the shoes I was wearing weren't up to scratch either. I think there's been a lot of development in that as well. Because when I land, I twist. So I now know that I need a shoe that has a full plate on the bottom of the shoe. At the time, I just sort of I like the colour of the shoe, so I wore them. But again, yeah, I think it was you see it. You do see those injuries a little bit in younger fast bowlers, sort of when your feet aren't quite used to it. I think it was at Taunton as well, and it was a rock hard pitch, so it can happen. But I think it was a mixture between that and the shoes I was wearing for that. And then yeah, it was just a bit of a freak incident, really.
Yeah, the following year, you said you hit the ground running. So England Lions recognition, 39 wickets in the championship. What clicked for you doing that season? Looking back,
I think I just started well. I think I remember looking back. I can't remember we played first game. Might have been we played Surrey first game, and I bowled really well. I think I didn't get a hatful of wickets. I think I picked up maybe 2 or 3 first innings and 2 or 3 second innings. But I was bowling at Sangakkara, and I was going round the wicket, and I was nipping it away from him, and he was played and missed loads and loads. And yeah, I just felt like I was right on the top of my game. And then we played Yorkshire at home on Sky the following week, and I think I got Rooty out, and I got Adam Lyth out, but Johnny out. I think I've got 4 or 5, and then the test selection was a few weeks after that. And obviously, once you bowled on Sky, you bowled at Rooty, who's a top international player. When you see him getting those players out, I think that played a big part in me sort of then getting picked in the test squads coming up that summer.
yeah, 2016, you got the initial call to be in the squad against Sri Lanka. Take us back. Who gave you that initial call, and when you received the news, what were the emotions running through your body then?
Well, it was James Whittaker gave me the phone call, but I remember like my mum and dad and a few others sending me like little snippets out of the papers saying like oh, we think like Jake's going to get picked in this. Who's like, you see all this paper talk, which at the time sort of you when you're doing a bit like when you're doing well, you tend to read it, don't you? So it was nice that I was getting those things, and I wouldn't say I expected it, but you sort of then get sort of right, am I going to be in it? Am I not going to be in it? So you sort of expecting a phone call. But then obviously when I got it, it was just, yeah, something that you work towards pretty much all your life. And, whenever you ask anybody that plays their sport, they say, what do you want to do? You want to play for your country, you want to represent your country. And to then get that call and be invited to go and be in the squad, it was, it was something quite special and something I'll never forget. And the fact that I've now represented England over all 3 formats is, it's mind blowing, really. From where I was when I was 17, where I was still playing my club's second team cricket at 17, it was like the journey was quite quick, and it was the fact that I'd never thought that I could make a career out of it made it even more special.
Yeah, test debut, then followed against Pakistan at Lord's. Do you remember the cap ceremony, the words that were said on that special?
I don't remember the words, but it was my uncle that gave me the cap. He was the wicket keeping coach at the time. I know he was quite emotional actually, which was sort of making me go a little bit. I remember him talking about family and how proud like the family are, and we're a big, quite close family as well. So when you hear those words, and it does sort of pull on the heartstrings a little bit, and brings it home sort of what an achievement it is to be playing for your country. But I don't remember a lot of the specifics about the speech, but I just remember it being really emotional. And the fact that we got to bowl first that day helped me, I think, because I didn't have any time to sit and stew in the dressing room. I wanted to just get straight out there, and I opened the bowling with Broady as well, which I'd done at Notts, which was familiar. I played at Lords a couple of times and bowled from the end that I opened the bowling from. So luckily, I'd everything I was doing, other than the 25,000 in the crowd, was quite familiar for me, which was nice.
Did you, when you actually walked down the road, did you notice the difference in levels in terms of even when it comes to the build-up, the analysis involved, as well as all the crowd and extra media, etc.? Did you notice the difference in levels?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the competition that was playing against the Pakistanis, yeah.
Yeah, the competition and the exterior that goes with it as well.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I went into it a little bit, I wouldn't say, a bit naive, really. I was bowling really well at the time. So I was like, I'm just going to go and I'm going to take 4 or 5 here on debut. That's what I want to do. I'm going to go. I never really think about what the opposition is going to be like. But then I think, I can't remember, somebody got 100. I can't remember who got it, but I was like bowling at him thinking, I cannot get this past his bat here. I think this was like second innings, but first innings I felt like I bowled really well. Beat the bat a few times, had an LB shout in the first over, which was just pitching outside leg. But yeah, like you say, just everything that comes with playing for England, when it's just like an exhausting day. You get there a bit earlier, you have to do media, or you have to go and, I don't know, at the end of the day, you have to go and do the written media, you have to go and speak to Sky, and then you go back to your hotel and you turn the TV on and it's talking about the game that you've just been playing. And like, it's hard to switch off from it, which I initially found harder, because like I'm usually quite good at getting away from it. But I think when you're playing for England and it's in the papers, it's on the TV, it's on, I watch the news at night, it's on the news as well. So it's like you struggle to sort of get away from it, which I had to try and find more ways to do that the more I played. So yeah, it was an exhausting 4 or 5 days, but it was a good eye opener for what was to come, and how to. Then I learned a lot about myself, about how I needed to deal with it.
Yeah, ODI debut followed against Bangladesh, 5 debut. At that time, during that period, did you see your game more suited to the longer form, shorter form? Did you find the interchange quite easy? And any tips for youngsters adapting to both to all formats as well?
Yeah, I think over 50 over cricket, your skill sets aren't too different. I think in 50 over cricket, a good length is a good length. Even coming out of Test cricket, you're only sort of, when you're adapting, if somebody's coming a bit harder at you, looking to use changes of pace. And like that was in Bangladesh, so the pitches were a little bit slower. You can use your slower balls and your changes of pace a little bit more there. Whereas in England, I think, as we saw in the World Cup, our traditional English bowlers, that like Wokesy, and I mean Woody's quite quick, but like him and Plunkett, who just hit hard length. It's hard to hit. It's still hard to hit even when people are coming at you. So I think you're only sort of adapting to maybe the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 overs, when a team might be looking to accelerate at the back end if they've got wickets in hand. But yeah, a good length is a good length, no matter what format you're playing. I think the more you can get used to hitting hard length, it will stand you in good stead over all formats, really. So yeah, that's it.
Did you see your game more suited to the shorter form, or did you?
Yeah, I think at the time I did. Yeah, I'd done well for Notts in the. I think it was still might have been still Pro 40 back then. Might have just changed to 50 over cricket, but yeah, I'd done well for Notts in the couple of seasons leading up to that, and I always sort of thought that I was more of a one-day player than a longer format player. So yeah, I felt quite comfortable. I only got in because Liam Plunkett had an ingrown toenail a couple of days before, and wasn't able to train 2 days before, so I only got to play because of that. And then obviously took my chance with the fifer and managed to stay in for the rest of the series. I think I was leading wicket taker in that series. Then we went straight to India. I think I was a leading wicket taker. Seamer there, obviously. Rash, I think Rash was leading wicket taker in terms of with spin, but I was the leading seamer there as well. So from there, I thought I was just going to kick on, and it all looked quite nice and rosy then. But it's never a smooth journey, unfortunately.
How much work, even now, do you do on variations, slower balls, nailing those Yorkers? And can you take us into your kind of practice? What kind of stuff are you actually doing to hone your specific skills in those kind of elements?
Yeah, we at Trent Bridge we do a lot of skill-based stuff because the ground's small and the pitches are good. What I said earlier about the hard length, that's a little bit easy to hit. So if somebody's in and set, the hard length at Trent Bridge, because the ball skips on, is easy to hit. So we tend to use our Yorkers and slower balls from almost first ball. Like Harry very often will bowl a slower ball first ball just to put it in the batsman's head. I think one day in T20 cricket, it's coming more and more about just it's like a mental battle. What's he thinking? What's the bowler thinking? Is he going to come at me this ball? If I put them all out on the leg side, does he think it's going to be in his hips? So I might go wider at him. So there's lots of things. There's a lot more thought goes into field placings and balls at how we can outfox batters. At Notts now we've got a full-time analyst who will tell us that, I don't know, batter A will hit 50% of his runs through backwards square leg. So he wants it on his hip, whereas he doesn't hit a lot down to third man. So you might bring third man up and you might put a point out and say, right, hit me through there, because we know you don't want to do that. So there's a lot more thought goes into it. Like we watch hours of footage of other players who we're going to play against, trying to work out the best place to bowl at them. But in terms of our skills, we just do a lot of it at training. We always finish training with the Yorker challenge, see how many you can hit in a row. Whoever doesn't hit or like how many can hit in 12 balls, whoever doesn't hit the most has to make the coffees or make the tea. So we put a bit of a challenge on it, things like that. But I think slower balls are quite personal. Whatever's comfortable for you. I've always wanted to bowl a knuckleball, which over the last couple of years I've managed to develop, which is, I think, it's taken my game to the next level. Which obviously I saw a big difference in that in the Blast last year, where I was leading wicket taker, because it's something that other batters do research on you, so they'll know that usually I'd bowl an off cutter slower, whereas this year I came in with a knuckleball. So you always have, I say it's like cat and mouse, and next year they'll know I bowl a knuckleball, so then I might have to go back to the off cutter. Just things like that. There's so much that goes into it. The preparation for T20 cricket it's mind blowing. It's so good.
Is it the main advice perhaps for club cricketers then would be just to make training, put that added pressure on training, make it a bit more game specific, just so that they're getting a bit more out of it, as opposed to just going trundling through their action?
Yeah, 100%. And even on for 4-day cricket, I'll say, right, I'm going to bowl 4 overs. I don't want to be left more than 4 times, because that's what we're working on. We're working on getting played more. So then I've got a little task there. So I know that I need to be straight, but not too straight to get clipped. But I want the batter to always look to be playing. So I play little games with myself in my head. Or I might say, 3rd ball or 4th ball of the over, I want him trying to drive through. If it's swinging, I might say to him, look, you've got cover open. And then I might go fuller and try and get him to hit balls through there, because then I know that's a high risk shot. You always got to have something on your training, I find, because if you go through the motions, you're not developing, you're not learning about yourself. You just sort of, you're just doing, and nobody gets anything out of that really, because again, the batter at the other end wants you at high intensity because he gets the most out of that as well. So I would say, yeah, when you're going down to your club nets, always make sure there's something on it. Like I say, whether that is making him play, whether that's you saying I want to hit knee roll, whether that's you saying I want to hit top of the pad, just always, and keep score in your head and be hard on yourself, because that's the only way you're gonna learn and develop.
And then going into Ashes down under, because you played couple more test matches out in India. It was a slight ankle injury, was it? Did you feel as if you had enough overs under your belt going into that first test?
No, I didn't. I did. I did ruptured two ligaments in my ankles 10 days before, and I only had sort of 2 or 3 days leading up to the test to get my overs up to where they needed to be, and I was quite a way short of where you'd want to be at, and obviously again going into a normal test match, it's quite intense and quite draining, but going into your first Ashes test away from home at the Gabba in front of 50,000+, it was just I wasn't ready, and I wasn't physically or probably even mentally ready either, because I was still, I had my ankle heavily strapped through the whole test. There's always that thing in the back. I think to play test cricket, you have to be at the top of your game, and you have to be able to put 100% in without any distractions or worries. And I was A, worried about my ankle, and B, it was my first Ashes test. I wanted to do well. I was quite uptight about the fact that I wanted to do well in that. So I think a mixture of both of those things just it didn't go the way I wanted it to go, and disappointed not to. That was my last test I played for England. So that's something that you again, as international cricketers, you have to live with. It's I wish I could have got, because probably second or third test I felt like I was back to where I wanted to be. We played a couple of warm-up games after the second one at Perth, and I felt like I was back bowling where I wanted to be at, but then didn't get the chance again in Australia to play, and I haven't played since. So it's frustrating, but it's part of being a professional sportsman. It's part of life where you don't always get what you think you deserve. You just have to sort of get on with it, and if the chance ever comes again, I've got to make sure that I'm ready to take it.
Yeah, as you said, you were left at the side. Then off that first test, you played in the one day. Was it the final one day on that tour? The gap must have been a couple of months. From a mental perspective, must have been difficult for you.
Yeah, it was 2 months pretty much from, and we actually arrived in Australia 2 or 3 weeks before the first test as well. So it was a long time. It was a long time just sat in hotel rooms and just sort of stewing on the fact that what I'd always dreamed about, playing an Ashes test, didn't go the way I wanted it to go. Didn't go to plan. And as I said earlier about when reading the media, I read the media for one day after that Ashes test, and some of the stuff that you read about yourself, it's not healthy to read that. So I got rid of all social media, and I still haven't read them since. My girlfriend says just do not rise to it, don't read it, don't look at it, because it no matter who you are, and no matter how mentally strong you think you are, when you read messages from people that you never meet, I'm never going to meet them, the fact that you didn't bowl that well in that test probably won't affect them, but they feel the need to write something about you on a social platform. A lot of it was like really horrible stuff, and I'm like, I just don't need it in my life. So I just got rid of Twitter, got rid of all that, and it was a tough time. It definitely, looking back, it affected me for a long time after that. I struggled with my confidence for probably 2 years after that, because I never got back. I actually struggled more once I got back, because I left that and I had a chat with the coach at the time, and he said, go back, take wickets for Notts, and we'll hopefully see you for the start of the Test series the following summer. I went back to Notts and I took 27 wickets in 4 games. I was a leading wicket taker in the country by, I think, about 7 or 8, maybe more wickets, and I didn't get picked. And then as soon as I didn't get picked, as soon as I got the call saying I'm not going to be involved, I went like confidence just shot. I was like, if that's not good enough, what is? And it was tough year and a half after that. Really tough mentally to keep myself going and stay upbeat, because I'm quite an upbeat person anyway. And people notice that you're not that same person that you was a year, 18 months before. So yeah, it was a real tough time, but I hopefully through the other side of it now, and looking to rebuild my career, which I had to do. I had to start again. I stripped everything back. I stripped my action back. I stripped everything back and started again. I said, right, I can sulk and I can mope and I can blame other people for how I feel now, or I can just get on with it and get back to the person I was and enjoy my cricket and see where that takes me.
Yeah, I was reading about some stats. You were getting your wickets at 15s in that 2018 campaign, but then an injury then followed. Did that again set you back in terms of from a mental perspective and from a cricket development perspective as well?
Yeah, but you can always. I've always seen injuries in sport as just being a thing that happened. Sometimes the timing of them is horrendous and you don't want them, but I'm not the first person to get a big injury. I'm not going to be the last person to get a big injury. It was a bad time because I felt like I was bowling quite well at the time, and then it was a long injury. I think it was 6. I think I was out for 6 months without even picking up a cricket ball, which was a long time. And I found it hard to then come back from that. And then the following year, I think it was 2019, I had my worst year by a country mile. I think I got my wickets at like 50 or something. It was as bad a season as I could have ever had. And that was a tough time for me. But
did anyone in house not put an arm around your shoulder and help you during that period?
Yeah, they do, but at the time, again, I think a backlash from the Ashes and being in England, where I was stuck in a hotel room on my own for 2 months. I felt like I could deal with it myself. Like I dealt with that on my own. I felt like I don't open up a lot. I don't like to talk about my emotions. I don't talk about how I'm feeling. I just sort of brush it off, brush it under the carpet. And I tried to brush that year under the carpet and sort of paper over big cracks, and it just doesn't work. It wasn't until that winter where my mum and my girlfriend was like, "You're not yourself. You're not. You need to speak to somebody. You need to speak to a coach and think like just try and get your old self back again." And I sat down with Paul Franks and Peter Moores, and we just chatted through it and chatted and we basically chatted about the Ashes. We sort of put it back to that. And then once I'd got it out, I felt like a biggest weight had been lifted. Once I'd had a little bit of a rant and a rave, and I was like, right, that feels so good. Now they know how I felt. Now they know, and they play the game as well, so they sort of understand it as well. But now, once I got it off my chest, I was like, right, let's use this winter, let's knuckle down, and let's just go next year, fresh slate. Let's go and hit it hard. And then I just saw that as a line in the sand and move on. And since then, touch wood, I feel like I'm back to my old self, and I feel like I'm bowling now as well as I ever have done, which is a great place to be at.
Talked about stripping back your action from a cricketing technical aspect. How easy was that? And what specifics were you actually working on that you felt needed adjustments as well?
Yeah, so I work at my tempo, my run up. I'd slowed down. So normally I'd run up at 23 miles an hour. I was running at 20 miles an hour, which in a run up is actually quite a big difference, and because of that, I was swaying, I was moving side to side as much as you can. You want if somebody says move from A to B, you move in a straight line. That's what you want to do. You want to head everything towards your target. So I was swaying. I had a little crossover with my feet just before delivery stride, which was then putting me off tilt. So we just looked at that and we said, I didn't want to do too much to my action, because I knew that it was sort of still there. I just wanted to tweak it back to where it was 18 months ago. And we identified the run-up speed and the crossover as being the big sort of downfalls of what I was doing in the year just gone. So we worked on that, just putting poles up, making sure that, and doing a lot of filming. I found filming myself and feeling it, because I'm a very visual person. I learn by looking at stuff, not necessarily talking about stuff. So pretty much every ball I bowled that winter was filming, making sure, right, does that feel right? Yes, all right, film it. What does it look like? And then just getting that feeling of not crossing over, feeling of going straight at the target. And yeah, that was a big winter for me. I found like I got my action back last year. I was bowling really well. I was going straight, was always looking back on those checkpoints throughout the whole year just to make sure that everything was going right, making sure my run-up speed was right. Yeah, and fingers crossed it's holding up. So yeah, we'll keep checking it, keep looking at it, but not thinking about it too much now, because I feel like I'm sort of just doing it now. But if things start to go bad, or I feel like my rhythm's not right, then we can go back and check that. So I think it's always good to have little checkpoints in your action, just two or three things that work for you, and those things work for me. So yeah, just picked up on those and worked on those.
And yeah, how enjoyable was last season then for you personally? Was he back in form? Not as one-day success with Notts. How do you reflect on last season? 2019 as well. I didn't touch on this, but you obviously England win the World Cup. You were a pivotal member of that one-day side leading up to it, prior to the World Cup. So obviously you must have been overjoyed with the country winning it. But again, it must have been one of those moments where like you could have been there as well.
Yeah, that's something that I've talked about. Again, like I said, I didn't talk about it a lot of the time, so I don't talk about my feelings a lot. But it was tough. It was tough when I'm close with pretty much all the lads in that dressing room. So it was like I was so happy that we'd won it. So happy, like the situation, how it was won. It was just one of the best games of cricket I think I've ever watched. But like I say, there's always that thing in the back of your head. Because when I picked up my back injury, it was a tour to Sri Lanka that winter. I was pretty much like I was going on that tour before I got the injury. So if you go there and do well, and then you kick on to next summer, and then you find yourself in that World Cup squad. But yeah, it was tough. But like I say, it was amazing that we won the World Cup. And it's done so much for English cricket since then that you can sort of you can live with it a little bit, and hopefully, fingers crossed, with the T20 World Cup coming up at the end of this year, if I get an opportunity in the next couple of games or some games in the summer to show what I can do there, then who knows, I might be in that side as well. So, and also, you never know. I'm still only. I turned 30 a few days ago, but having maybe potentially playing the next one would be quite nice as well.
Yeah, then the not summer that just went, one day success. How was that as a moment as well for the club and for yourself winning the trophy?
Yeah, it was a weird year, wasn't it? Obviously with no crowds, and it was a shortened season with 4-day cricket, and I think it was a shortened T20 as well. I think we only played 10 group games, but it was great. I think the side we had was probably the best side I've played in T20 by a distance. Actually, it was an absolute dream to play in that side, because I think I only got my pads on once to bat, which was nice. But yeah, the year we had, we all sat down and we said, well, like, it's not going to be ideal not having fans, because at Trent Bridge, on a Friday night, we get as big a crowds as anybody, and we love playing in front of them. And we've got a lot of young lads in our side that like to entertain and hit big shots and play big sixes and do it like that. But it was like, everyone's going through a pretty tough time at the minute, so it'd be nice to give our fans something to cheer about, and hopefully we did that by lifting the trophy. Certainly, the feedback we've had since then, and speaking to some of the members since then, they loved watching it, and it sort of took their mind off what was happening in the world for a couple of hours. So yeah, it was good to win the trophy, and hopefully do it again this year. I think if we can keep the core of players that we had last year, then we'll certainly be going close.
And then just to end on your short-term goals for the next 6 to 12 months. Obviously, you're involved in the 100 as well. Welsh Fire out in India at the moment. You mentioned before T20 World Cup coming up. What are the short-term goals for Jake Ball?
Obviously, keep an eye on that. Whenever I get an opportunity, whether that is here in India, whether that's when I get back for Notts or for the Welsh Fire, just try and take the opportunity to show people what I can do and see where that leads me. I want to help Notts get back to where they should be in 4-day cricket. I think last year we saw a significant step forward in our 4-day form from the previous years. Hopefully we can continue that and look at pushing them forward in that, and then yeah, just to enjoy my cricket, mate. Like I said, when I was going through the tough bit and I wasn't enjoying cricket, how bad it made me feel. To be now playing and enjoying it and loving what I'm doing, I just want to keep that going and keep enjoying it, entertaining the fans, doing what I've always loved doing, and see where that takes me. I think that's the main thing. Do what I did when I was a kid. I never thought I was going to become a professional cricketer, but I got there because when I was doing it, I was enjoying it. I was free. I wasn't thinking about anything. I was just doing it because I loved doing it. And I think that would be my message to any young cricketer. And I know probably most people would say it, just go out and enjoy it and play with freedom. But it really does make a huge difference when you don't put any pressure on yourself. Obviously, you want to do well, and I think it's important to reflect on good performances and bad performances. I think no matter if you win or lose, as long as you learn from it and develop, just enjoy yourself. Go out there and express yourself and do what you do. Don't try and be somebody that you're not. That would be my main message that I would want to get over to a young aspiring, not even just cricketer, just anybody in general. Just go and enjoy it. Just be you and see where that takes you.
Jake, perfect. Thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Fantastic talking through your career, and thank you again for being so open and honest about everything. So thank you.
No problem.
So Neel Khagram, Cricket Life Stories, Jake Ball. Thank you.